Hey, it's another appliance fun day. I always like to try to explain a little bit more about why I might recommend a product, especially an appliance. And it's a really interesting method to think about the new induction cooking. And you can get an induction cooktop either on a range or a range top or cooktop. So the thing to think about though in induction cooking is how it actually works. And the way it works is not through a traditional heating element. It is an electric, and I'll show you here. It's an electric style cooking method in that it plugs into an electrical outlet. So you have to have electricity for it. And if you have a gas line, you'll simply turn that gas line off or disconnect that gas line. So this is an example of going from a gas line, which we just disconnected, and we turned this into an induction opportunity. And we did have to cut out a little bit of the countertop for this retrofitting, which wasn't that big of a deal. It was just really messy. But I wanted to show you what happens with induction cooking. And so remember I told you it is electric. And what happens is there's an electromagnetic connection between the top, the element here, if you will, and the pan. The connection there makes the magnetic force field, the magnetic elements in the pan, active. And it's their activity that actually generates the heat. So it's not actually the element, it's the heat. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. Simply turn it on and heat it up. Now I'm starting at about 0 seconds, and I'll tell you this pan of water will be boiling in a very short time. I'll tell you how much time it's been spending as soon as it starts to boil. But while we're looking at this, a lot of my clients say, well, if I've got a pan and I want to get induction, can all my pans work on my cooktop? And the answer to that is no, not all pans will work. However, you can do a quick little easy test. You can take a standard refrigerator magnet or any magnet you've got, put it on the bottom of your pan, and if the magnet sticks to your pan, you can use that on your induction cooktop. All of my Le Creuset, they still work. A cast iron skillet and pan would work. A lot of the metal pans do work, but you'll just have to, like I said, check it and make sure that there really is a magnetic field in there. Now you'll notice I didn't even cover the pan. You know, a watched pot never boils. And it does help if you keep the lid on your pan to trap the heat in there. Things will heat up much quicker. But you can see it's been just barely over a minute. If I had that lid on there, it would be under a minute. But just barely over a minute, I've already got bubbling and boiling going on. So what this does for me is speeds up my cooking time a lot. Now the other thing I want to bring to your attention is when you actually take that off. So you can remove this, and then of course it stops boiling. This is flashing telling me, hey, your pan's missing. So I'm just going to turn it off. And what happens is this, I'm not going to touch it right this second, but as soon as you take that off, the element is not actually hot. What's hot there is the heat that was generated from your pan as it touched the glass. So the glass is heated by now the pan. There is no more electricity or heat element coming from this at all. In fact, I can touch it. I wouldn't place my hand on it until it's really nice and cool, but it's going to cool down super, super fast. So just imagine if you've boiled something over, everywhere that's touching that, where the boiled over material would be touching your glass on a traditional electric cooktop would just be baking on. And that's not the case for the induction. So it cleans up really, really beautifully. This particular one is nice. This unit, this happens to be a GE Cafe which is a step up from GE's traditional lines. But this has what's called the bridge element. So you can actually place a larger, like I have a crock pot insert that I fit, that would fit across this. But here there's a stainless steel griddle accessory that allows me to fry bacon if I wanted to do that, or pancakes, French toast, grilled cheese sandwiches. You get the idea. So that means that that whole area is going to be heated. So this negates my 29-year-old griddle that really doesn't work quite like it used to. And so I basically have another new appliance right there. So I can't recommend the induction cooktop enough, or the induction style of cooking enough. This particular model also comes with a sous vide, and we could talk about that another day. I hope you've enjoyed learning about induction cooking.